This is a Murakami Minute, presented by the Drunken Pen Writing Podcast.
We are here with the final installment of a Murakami Minute Manga Stories, Volume 1, Part 4, The Seventh Man.
Oh, I didn't even think about the seventh.
That's the title of the story.
Numbers everywhere.
I know. So for this story, I did minimal research, as in none.
Yeah.
But this was my favorite story out of the whole collection. Prose version, I would give this a 4.
Yeah.
Manga, probably still a 3.
Yeah, 3.5. Like, that's kind of been my mostly between the 3 and the 3.5 for the stories.
Right. Well, the summary for The Seventh Man is as follows. And this just goes for the prose version, but the manga version obviously follows pretty closely.
Yes.
Even though it's an adaptation, it is not wildly different. The Seventh Man of the title tells a group of people a story from the childhood. That's not right. The Seventh Man of the title tells a group of people a story from his childhood. When a typhoon and tsunami struck his hometown, the 10-year-old boy narrowly escaped being swept away by the wave. He did not, or perhaps could not, save his friend, and the other little boy was swept away and died. It's very horrific.
Yeah.
It's very traumatic in the prose version as well as the manga. Imagine you lost your best friend at such a young age, and this situation put you in a horrific position in life. Haruki Murakami, the narrator from The Seventh Man, has a lot to share about this tragic situation. And then these are broken up into bullet points, which is odd. In this story, The Seventh Man, Haruki Murakami, narrator, experiences the same horrific moments. So has this happened to Haruki Murakami? I don't remember ever hearing about that.
Did you just watch his friend get swept up in a typhoon?
It is true that the Seventh Man did not intend to cause Kei's death. That's the little boy. The Seventh Man should forgive himself because his actions were not the best, but his intentions were not bad either. All right, this is weird. This is broken up very oddly.
Well, I was going to say, like, he didn't do anything to cause his friend's death, but he didn't do anything to prevent it either.
No, so basically, what is it, starting a pub or something? There's a bunch of guys.
Oh, I think it almost looks like some kind of, like, secret, like...
group of some sort. There's got to be a better place to get in. I don't know why the best story in this collection is the one I could find the least about.
The least amount of information on.
I just keep finding the story to read, which you can read on Granta. What was the one I picked? Was it Granta or... I feel like I found a better one. No, it was Granta. I think Granta was the better one.
Oh, that's the one that had Joe Rubin on it? Or Jay Rubin?
Jay Rubin, I think. We didn't do the readings. That was this story, right? I did the readings for you that showed you the differences, the translation differences.
Yeah.
I'll see if I can find that in a minute, but let me see if I can find a better synopsis than that one. Haruki Murakami's story, The Seventh Man, is a gripping tale told mostly in the first person by the Seventh Man himself. He doesn't like names, does he?
No.
He not like in anything. I don't know. I mean, I've read things of his that have names, but a lot of the times they do not.
Well, especially when there's something like they're smaller, like all the short stories and stuff like that. There's hardly any names at all. I don't know about, like, you said probably in the longer works you kind of have to.
Right.
Like, could you imagine trying to read Q1A4 and nobody had names?
Fucking ridiculous. From what I remember, there's some strange names in that one. That that's Richard now.
Yeah, you make up a name.
That's not Ryusaki or whatever. It's Richard. So basically this story was a man recounts his youth when he experienced death for the first time. His friend, who is in the prose version, I don't even think they refer to it as slow. I think they just use the R word, don't they?
They might have. I know they didn't mention it in the manga, yeah.
I think in the manga he might say that he's slow or something.
Right.
So Kei, is Kei the friend?
Yeah, Kei's the friend.
In The Seventh Man, he doesn't have a name.
Yeah.
That's why it's confusing. So the unnamed narrator, when he was young, befriended a boy named Kei who was really gifted at painting, but the kid had a bad speech impediment, and in school they either treated him or just thought he was like special needs.
I think that's what it was. It was that, like, it wasn't even so much like that he was dumb or slow or anything like that, but because of the impediment, people thought that because he just wouldn't try to speak or and stuff like that.
And Murakami was very indelicate with how he referred to him being possibly slow. So one day there's a typhoon coming. I like the way it's described in the story, and the unnamed narrator as a boy decides when there's a break, they're in the eye of the storm and there's a break, and he decides to go outside. His parents are like, go ahead, just if it starts getting windy again, come back home.
Also, like, how big's the eye of that storm?
I don't know, but I don't know much about typhoons. But he, it's read that to parents and stuff, it's like could be a catastrophe, but to kids, it's or maybe the parents just treat it as like a nuisance, and then the kids were just like, it's a different time, it's windy and interesting.
Well, because I think like it was like they get them yearly, so I think at a certain age they probably just
get used to it. Yeah. Anyway, he goes out in this typhoon during the break, and his friend Kay spots him, runs down. They go to the beach together. Terrible idea.
Yeah.
I really like the descriptions of how the waves, the difference between not just the waves, but how there's like the water gets pushed back because, it's forming a giant wave in the distance. And he's like, I've never seen this part of the beach. And they're sitting there looking. Kay is down there with his doggy, which is very sad. And a giant wave comes, and I'm really glossing over. If you read the prose version, it goes into good detail about like the impending doom you're going to get with this wave coming. But he shouts for his friend Kay, but even though he could possibly run over and save him, he doesn't. Kid gets swept up.
Well, I mean, I think an important part there is that he notices it and starts running before even saying anything to Kay. Like, he gets to like the brake line or whatever it was. Well, like there was like this like little mini wall. And then once he got to the wall, he turned and tried to yell for Kay, didn't, and then the wave got him.
Yeah. And then there's a moment where the kid's sucked up in the wave, and he smiles at the narrator, and it's eerie, but in the book it looks sinister.
Yeah.
Like in the manga version, it's very creepy and sinister, and I don't think it's necessarily described like that in the prose version. It's been like a month since I read this now.
It's just him like smiling.
Yeah, and essentially the story is about grief and PTSD and how the narrator has held on to that for his entire life. And then at the end, he goes back to visit his hometown, and it has a very sad nostalgia to it because like his house is gone, Kay's house is gone, everything's been redeveloped. So basically the hometown that he doesn't even consider his hometown anymore because he's lived in the mountains now
isn't there.
It's not there, but it's still kind of sad. And then he ends up finally accepting what happened, goes because he finds paintings that Kay painted him when he was moving.
Yeah, I think it's like his father died, and so his brother was going through their stuff, found these paintings and mailed them to where this narrator lives now.
And then he realized like Kay wasn't begrudging him or terrorizing him or anything like that. It's just his friend, and he was he was the kid's only friend.
Yeah.
And he really cared about the kid. And like the kid's parents even knew like after that happened that it wasn't his fault. Like, just shit happens. So he goes to the beach as an adult, and he, with all his clothes on, goes and lays in the ocean.
Yeah, because he talked about how he's never seen the ocean, never been to a beach after that, never,
not even swimming or anything. And he accepted the loss and just kind of lets the ocean wash over him. And that's where that ends. But this one has a more emotional end. The other ones haven't had anything close to that. Like this one,
you mean just have an ending?
Yeah, just have an ending and gives you a little bit of a cathartic release
with some closure.
Now the manga version had a very interesting stylized approach to the story.
Yeah, it's probably the best use. I think like because we talk about like in the prose, one of the things we liked about it was like the description, and you get two cool things where like the wave is trying to reach out to him to get him and stuff like that. You don't get that, but you actually get to see the wave and stuff like that, and Kay getting sucked up and being inside of the wave and stuff. Yeah,
I will say the artwork really does a service to the nostalgia factor here, like the colors that were used and just the way it's set up.
Yeah.
It's a very dreamy yet still cartoony kind of drawing, like the illustrations. And I was just looking at the onomatopoeias; they're not as ridiculous as like the ones.
Probably just like a lot of like whoosh and whoosh.
Yeah, a lot of wave sounds. Still hideous characters. Everyone's hideous. Everyone's fucking hideous. If you're Japanese, you're hideous. If you're in this manga. Yeah, like the main thing was you don't get the feeling of Murakami in the manga version. You can't.
Yeah.
Especially in this story. I'm gonna see if I can find those translations just to read those.
I'd say, well, like that's the thing. Like, I don't think, well, maybe it's not a thing as much in manga as it is in like comic books, like, because like you can have like a lot of cool artwork, but like you can also have like, you know, in the either in the word blocks or the whatever. Then when you're talking to, you know, like having a character look at something, they can describe the thing. You know, you can hear them talking about describing it, where the artist is also still doing it. Like, you know what I mean? So like I hope maybe if in the later volumes we might get more of like of those descriptions and just like more of the Murakami kind of stuff, rather than being like, well, we're gonna take that stuff out and we're just gonna draw it.
Yeah. I like when artists are able to put their own take on a story.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel like that was really done here. I felt like it was just like, let me try to get as close to a Murakami story as I can, but I don't think it really succeeded necessarily.
I can't remember if I said it in the previous episodes or not, but I would be interested to see, like, I would want to read a manga or a comic or whatever that Murakami wrote for that.
That
like,
medium.
Yeah, I don't know what that would be like. It could be terrible. You know what I mean? I don't know, but it'd be something that I would be interested in checking out.
I feel like it would be more along the lines of an Alan Moore in regards to scene breakdowns. Mm-hmm. I don't think it would be anywhere nearly as detailed, but like Murakami with his weird magical realism, I feel like he would go into the medium if that's like intended.
Yeah.
He would be like, okay, I want something to be, and he would try to find a way to get the artist to show you this weird dream-like scenario that's very odd.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just thinking like Hard-Boiled Wonderland. I think there's a part in it where a guy's in like an underground labyrinth or city, and I feel like he's harvesting dreams from books or something weird.
Oh, yeah.
Something very odd. I forget what it was, but just like something like that could be shown in art, very cool.
Right.
But then again, it might be like, what the fuck's happening?
You need the right artist because to be able to bring that, you know, that vision to life.
Yeah. All right, so here's the two versions of The Seventh Man, the prose translations. The first one, which is the one I sent you, is just from tianamayumi.com. I don't know what that is. This one was translated by Christopher Allison. So I'm going to read the opening paragraph, and then I'm going to read the opening paragraph of one I found on Granta. That's the one we ultimately read,
Yeah.
which was translated by Jay Rubin.
Good old Jay Rubin.
So this
and
is,
I think we mentioned this before doing Murakami Minutes, but I want to see if Mr. Rubin has his own novels.
I think I looked into that before, and I think he has academic books, but I'm not sure if he has fiction or not. Regardless, this is the Christopher Allison translation. So here's the opening paragraph. It was a September afternoon during my 10th year when that wave nearly brought me to my end. The seventh man began in a quiet voice. So it opens with dialogue. Here's Jay Rubin's. A huge wave nearly swept me away, said the seventh man, almost whispering. It happened one September afternoon when I was 10 years old. Now here's the second paragraph. Back to Christopher Allison. He was the last person to speak that night. The hour hand on the clock had already passed 10. The sound of the wind blowing to the west outside in the black darkness could be heard by everyone sitting there together in a circle in the room. Leaves rustled in the garden, the panes of the window rattled slightly, and the wind rose up in a shrill whistle before blowing away into the night. Now here's Rubin. The man was the last one to tell his story that night. The hands of the clock had moved past 10. The small group that huddled in a circle could hear the wind tearing through the darkness outside, heading west. It shook the trees, set the windows to rattling, and moved past the house with one final whistle. So I think where Jay Rubin succeeds is that while it might not actually be Murakami's straight words, he gives it something that to the English-speaking audience is more natural.
Yeah.
Where that Christopher Allison one felt like it was more of a direct translation, because even the grammar was kind of similar to what it would probably sound like in Japanese if you had the grammar, in English correctly. So I think it's too dry.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer Jay Rubin because I've read some novels that were by different translators that went more direct, and I don't enjoy that as much.
No, it's one of those things that'd be like, I want, like, if you were interested in like you were saying, the most direct of like, if this is what he's trying to say, but it's also like, I also want to enjoy reading this as well.
Yeah, I would like it.
That's why I said like I'd be interested about if Jay Rubin had any fiction novels, I'd be interested to see what those were like, just because of like what, like how you said, like how he kind of not flares it up, but puts a good spin kind of on it.
Right. Let me check, see if he has any. J. Ruban.
Just takes you to Arby's for some reason.
He's old as dirt. He looks about 110. Making Sense of Japanese. What's this? The Sun Gods by J. Rubin. Arriving in Seattle on the eve of World War II, Japanese-born Mitsuko falls for Tom, a widowed pastor. So he does have a fiction book. At least one. That was 2015, The Sun Gods.
Oh.
So there's a couple other books listed here, too. I don't know if these are also his fiction novels, Injurious to Public Morale, The Forgotten Capital. Yeah, it might be worth looking into.
Yeah.
Because even though he's translating Murakami, the way he writes that's him.
Yeah.
That's why I always said I don't think I've ever. Well, I could honestly say I've never actually read Murakami because I've never read the Japanese.
Right.
Oh, why did do that? Why did do that, mother?
What happened?
Amazon kicked me off. Said Bezos come into my house, fuck me up.
So if you're not buying anything, get the fuck out of here.
Fudge off, buddy. All right, so that was the conclusion of Manga Stories Volume 1. We'll have a quick summary of how we felt, but the second one, which we'll do eventually, will be Manga Stories Volume 2, which features the second bakery attack, which we read, Samsa in Love, which we read, and Thailand, which I don't think we read.
No, or only 3 this time.
There's only 3 stories.
Oh, well, the bakery one was like a little bit of a longer story, wasn't it? If I remember correctly.
The bakery, yeah, I think so, but it's 128 pages, so must be enough.
Well, I'm just saying, like maybe the stories are probably hopefully will be a little bit longer.
I'm pretty sure the bakery attack had an ending.
Yeah.
Samsa in Love. Hold on, let me check that out. Samsa.
Well, at least this would be nice that this time we won't have to. I mean, unless we want to go back and try to reread the prose,
Okay, this is what I thought it was. This is my favorite. Samsa in Love is my all-time favorite Murakami story. It's the one where it's reversed. Instead of Gregor Samsa waking up as a bug, it's a bug waking up as Gregor Samsa. And it was like, it reads like the, Kafka's Metamorphosis, but in reverse. And it's really fucking funny. I really enjoyed that. There's a free one on the New Yorker. Hopefully we could read that. Yeah. Hopefully our month, I think it's a month, right? You have to wait before you get another free trial or whatever. All right. So in summation, I gave Haruki Murakami's Manga Stories Volume 1 a solid 3.
Yeah, that seems all right.
I will never read it again. And I can't say...
But even if it was really good, do you think you'd probably ever read it again?
Probably not. I don't read anything again. But I can honestly say I didn't thoroughly enjoy that, but the fact that I got to go read the prose versions too made me enjoy it more. If we only covered this as not the short stories, but just the manga story version, no, that would have been a poop read. Yeah. That would have been maybe a 1 or 2 just because it held my interest enough because it was Murakami, but if it was the exact same thing, but Haruki Murakami's name wasn't on it, it was fucking Jeff Cunningham. Yeah. Well, I would have said stop writing Jeff Cunningham. You suck. The art's hideous and you're just no good. Regardless, I do think The Seventh Man holds up either way, though. I did like that one the best. Like I said, the manga wasn't as good as the prose version, but I still enjoyed it.
Right.
So that was a Murakami Minute. And we will check you, I don't know, maybe a month or 2. I don't think we have to wait. Probably November. We could kick it up again.
Maybe, yeah, we'll see.
It's a $20 book, so.
Yeah.
See how I feel about spending $20 on that. Unless we get our book club to do it. Hey, don't even worry about Volume 1. Just read Volume 2 for book club.
Oh my God, you know some of the reactions.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, thank you for listening, and we will check you next time.